Well, when did you do your dump?
It started at about 9:30.
It could be at the end of the day, 6 o'clock, whatever, when you're wrapping it up, but especially like before you go to bed.
Okay.
Is you got to just dump your head.
Okay.
Like if you have too many things in your head and you're thinking, oh, I got to do this or I got to do that, you got to get it out of your head. You got to write it down. You got to put it on to-do list, Asana, Evernote, something. Just put it down.
Okay.
I don't know if you've ever done that, but man, you sleep so much better.
Travis, this business is extremely stressful.
Is it?
Yes. People are lying if they tell you it's not. It is. It's a simple business. It is not an easy business. And it can be stressful. There's a lot of people that are involved in transactions. There's a lot of situations that go on behind the scenes. And sometimes you can just take the wind out of your sails.
Yes.
That's today's topic.
Yes.
Not the things that take the wind out of our sails.
How to fill those sails.
Yes. It's about how we keep going when things aren't going well, how we keep that cup more than half full and keep the mindset and the mentality in the right places when things are going on.
Can I go a little bit off the reservation, I think, here?
Absolutely.
All right. Maybe you see this coming. Maybe this is where you're going. I don't know. But reading that question, to me, I thought some of the most important things are having a plan.
Yep.
Planning your day.
Mm-hmm.
And take some time for yourself.
Okay. That wasn't my third.
What was your third?
Morning routine, baby.
Yeah. So I thought a lot of this was going to go to, hey, what do we do for our heads? And I think that's equally as important.
Mm-hmm.
But I think they're both part of this.
Yes.
And so I think how you conduct your business is very important because too many real estate agents, we wear a lot of hats. We're a unique industry and it's easy to fall prey to being the chicken with your head cut off.
Yep.
And you're just running around and you're just chasing the next task after the next task. And too many people think that's the only way it can be done. And so they have a hard time getting out of that cycle. But that's what creates so much of the stress.
Creates a great deal of stress.
Yeah.
Lack of abundance in a lot of times there's a lack of abundance or there is scarcity or feels like there's scarcity going on and people start to panic, whether it's over, the one and only transaction that they have or where's the next deal coming from? And I just need that one more deal and coming from that place of scarcity. But, I started with the morning routine and my thought process is that can make or break or set the tone for the rest of the day. And, you wake up first thing in the morning and something bad happens first thing in the morning, you could be out of whack the rest of the day, know, and, that could be the dog peeing on the floor right before you go. That could be something breaking or whatever the case may be. You walk outside, the car doesn't start, dead battery, who knows, whatever it is. But those things can actually change the moment that quickly, and they're not that big of a deal. Nine times out of 10, it's not, it's not earth shattering, what I call first world problems, but setting yourself up with that morning routine to make sure that the headspace is right, make sure that the body is right, make sure that the mind is right, and all of those things are flowing can set the tempo for all of these other things that are going to happen. Because they're going to happen. If the dog doesn't pee on the floor, you're going to get that phone call of the escrow loan docs aren't in. God forbid we lost a job or what, to the worst case scenarios of the transactions completely falling apart, all the way up to, hey, we've got this problem going on where we're going to have delays or whatever the case may be. They happen.
Always something.
Yeah.
I'm a step ahead of you.
Okay, go for it.
I think your end of the day routine is one of the most important parts of healthy lifestyle. Okay. So it could be at the end of the day, 6 o'clock, whatever, when you're wrapping it up,
Mm-hmm.
but especially like before you go to bed
Okay.
is you got to just dump your head.
Okay.
Like if you have too many things in your head and you're thinking, oh, I got to do this or I got to do that, you got to get it out of your head. You got to write it down. You got to put it on to-do list, Asana, Evernote, something. Just put it down.
Okay.
I don't know if you've ever done that, but man, you sleep so much better because when you write it down, you know it's there and you don't have to think about it all night, waking up every 10 minutes going, oh God, I got to do that. Remind, don't forget.
That's a tough one for me.
Yeah.
It is. I was up until 4 a.m. last night. And it's almost the opposite. So here's what happens to me in the middle of the night in that situation. I start to dump everything and then the brain turns back on. And then
well, when did you do your dump?
It started at about 9:30.
Oh, okay. I was gonna say it sounded like maybe more you were doing like 1 or 2 in the morning.
No, it started at about 9:30, and then what happened was I made some notes. I had finished the night with some reading. I had made some notes on what I had read, this and that, and the next thing I know, okay, I'm done with the night, and all of a sudden it was like, ooh, I got another idea, and then I started writing it down. And then I pulled up the laptop and I was all like, woo, gotta go. And I went down the rabbit hole. And next thing I know, it's like I'm leaving the bedroom, going to the other room because the light to the laptop is gonna bug everybody and light up the room. And then the night's gone and I'm sitting there looking at the clock like, holy cow. So what's your answer? Because I tried to dump it.
Yeah, sounds like you got a problem. So maybe you do that at 6 o'clock or whenever you're shutting things down for work, and then you go home.
Okay.
Don't get that wheel spinning again.
So, and I chuckled when you said that because here's part 2 to that. Everybody is you got to know who you are and what works
that's
for you.
a very valid point.
My morning routine, if it works for me, does not mean it's going to work for that next person the same way it's set up. Now, I believe in a morning routine as well as I believe in an evening routine, but they have to fit who you are and work. Like you're a stickler on Evernote and getting those things written down and boom, being done with it. As you just heard me, I'm on the opposite. I get going in the middle of the night. Yeah, it's trouble for the marketing department usually the next morning. So
big to-do list.
Pretty much. It's what it turns into. It's like, I had an moment. Next thing I know, we're on 4 different platforms of new social media things. So
see, in my morning routine, I think is totally different than yours. Mine is more about prepping for the day, because if you get your wheel spinning too fast and you're not ready for what's coming at you, I find that you're the chicken with the head cut off and you start doing all these little tasks because, as soon as you open your email or look at the internet, oh, game on, there's gonna be all sorts of things that are grasping for your attention. Absolutely. And so I like to get to the office, not even open my email, but I've got my programs. I want my calendar open. I want my MLS open. I want my Evernote open. I want my Asana open. I want my KV Cork open. Here we are trying to have, one program for everything. But I like to use all of those. And when I have those open and I get started on my list, man, by 8, 9, 10, depending on the day, I can knock off so many things and it's great.
So that's part of the scheduling and that's part of having that schedule and things of that nature. But let's go back to the morning routine for you. You mentioned that you don't, it's not about putting things together and getting things ready yet. So what about mind, body, and soul and keeping that cup full first thing in the morning? What's happening there? Is it that cup of coffee? Is it the outside? Hey, I'm watching the sunrise. Is it the meditating? Is it what's Travis's world?
Exercise, maybe.
Okay.
That's about it.
Okay. All right. And I asked the question for you guys out there. That's something that you have to figure out for you. What works best for you and what's the best fuel for you first thing in the morning?
Absolutely.
How about nutrition in the morning? Just out of curiosity.
What's the question?
What do you eat in the morning?
Oh, well, on a good morning, I have some fruit, maybe a little bit of peanut butter is my go-to.
All right.
And on my days that aren't so great, I'm eating cereal. I love cereal. Okay. So I'm a Cheerios guy and a cornflake guy. And, but that's just the carbs, I'm like, oh, my body craves that, but it's never a good thing, right?
Right.
It's like the sugar. You eat it and you're like, oh, why did I do that? But very mild, small
Okay.
little meal.
All right. And I bring that up because so many people that myth about breakfast is the most important meal of the day, and people go into that heavy breakfast of this,
Mm-hmm.
that stack of pancakes, 2 eggs, bacon, and this and that. The amount of and forgive me for the direction I'm going, but the amount of energy that takes and the amount of blood flow that leaves the most of your body and your brain and everything else that goes into your stomach to try to digest that first thing in the morning. You try to figure out why you're compensating with 4 cups of coffee or 5 cups of coffee to really bring that energy back up. That's why, because
Yeah.
most of your energy is being spent digesting that big old meal you just had. So I like the fruit first thing in the morning. If you haven't tried it, people, fruit until noon.
Jesse,
well, he's not the creator of that. That's one of his
he's
philosophy.
who I heard that from.
Yeah, that's one of his
Nothing but fruit
philosophy.
till noon.
Nothing but fruit till noon. It's easy to digest. You mentioned sugar spikes. You don't get the sugar spikes with real fruit and all of that kind of stuff the same way you do with candy and the Cheerios.
Whoa, no. Cheerios and cornflakes are okay.
Okay.
They're not your Lucky Charms or your Frosted Flakes.
Gotcha.
I'm sure there's some sugar in them, though.
All right. So what else are we doing to keep the cup full?
Okay, cup full. Interesting. Okay, maybe these go that way. 2 things. 5-minute rule. You run into something, you're frustrated, something blows up on you, someone upsets you. You got 5 minutes to get that out of your system.
Okay.
That's a hard lesson to learn, but you just do what you got to do, bang your head against a wall, write something down, go run around the building, do whatever you're going to do. In 5 minutes, you need to get on with your day.
Okay. I'm going to expand on that a little bit because number one, that's one of the hardest things to do.
Absolutely.
Especially if it's something that agent the other day walked into my office. What was the listing price on it? 3-point-something million sale. And yeah, fell apart just like that. And it was a good way through the transaction too.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. And
that was the day to lock it up.
Yeah. And it fell apart just like that. I'm not going to lie. Probably would take more than 5 minutes to get over that. Not to mention, I mean, there's so many things that are a factor in there. What the heck your clients are thinking, what they're saying, what's happening, their messages in their head, your messages, were you counting the commission check already and those dollars? So many different things in there. But what I want to point out is, yes, Travis said 5-minute rule, but more importantly, what he pointed out was, how do I get from A to Z and back into the groove as quickly as possible? And I don't know if you heard it, whether you're getting up and walking around or doing something or making movement. I bring this up because really what you need to do is take action on something else, and exercising, changing the body, changing how you are physically standing or whatever it is that you're doing is one of the easiest ways to start to move that needle back.
Yes.
So might take more than 5 minutes, but make sure you're doing the right steps to get there as quickly as possible, because that's really what it's about. How do I get out of this funk and get to the right place again as quickly as possible?
And you just said something that reminded me of another way, which is like, if you're in a funk, like, not that there was an episode or anything, but maybe the day's just not going right or things are feeling out of sorts. A lot of times it's because you're failing to take action.
Yep.
Which is what you just said. So make a decision, take action. It's amazing after that hour or two, whatever you're going to do, you're going to make that call and confront the issue. You're going to go knock on those doors that you needed to. You're going to put that plan together that you've been procrastinating on. Man, when you're done, you feel like a champion.
Yep. Okay. What about who you hang out with?
Oh yeah. That's a big one.
Okay.
You are, what is it? You are the accumulation of the 4 people you hang out with the most.
4 or 5, something like that.
Yeah.
But and expanding on this, it's also knowing, so you're in a funk, there's a situation going on, the cup's not full. Part of it is knowing who I should or who I shouldn't go to.
Yeah.
To who can best help me in this situation, and having that internal knowledge. I was quick story the other day. I was I've got this thing in my head that I'm thinking I want to do an ultra. And it comes and goes. And I decided the other day, I'm going to start training for an ultra. I pulled out the map, I did everything, got it all set up. And then I started having doubt because I looked at the schedule and I said, shit, that's a lot of running.
There's only one thing you can do.
Well,
Put a foot forward.
put a foot forward. What I did was I sent a text message to my buddy and I said, this is what I'm thinking of doing. 2 seconds later, replies back, let's do this.
I was going to say, I'm in it with you.
Yep. And, send me over the schedule I want to see. Boom. And I could have very easily sent that to somebody else and the message back, are you sure?
What are you, crazy?
Right. Wrong answer at the time for what I was looking for. And it was funny. When I sent the message, I knew who I was sending it to. And I was expecting a certain answer back. And that's what I was looking for. So sometimes when we get in that funk, it's like, hey, who's really in that foxhole with you that's going to take you to the right place? So, yeah.
Very nice.
All right.
If I were to wrap up on my side, I would say you need to recognize what you're saying to yourself in your head. You ever had that experience?
Yes.
I don't know. Here I am sitting at 51 next week, and it was in the last 10 years when I was all of a sudden.
Happy birthday.
Almost.
Yes.
That I recognized what was going on in my head. I was like, dude, what am I saying to myself?
Mm-hmm.
Before it was like something in the background that I didn't really pay attention to. And now all of a sudden I'm like, my God, I've got to stop this, And now I actually am cognizant of when it happens. And I take an actual effort to change it if it's something negative or something not in the direction that I want to go. It's pretty powerful once you get that recognition.
Have you ever turned on a tape recorder?
Of course.
No. Can
you expand on that?
I can. So I think it was David Goggins' second book. He was talking about that he had a good friend of his, and every time he came over, everything that came out of that guy's mouth just drained the energy out of him. And so he just had the idea one day. He says when the friend came over, he just plopped out a tape recorder on the desk and just hit record.
Have you ever heard yourself? No? Well, here you go.
And that's exactly it. And when you hear yourself, it's like, holy cow, I'm not as positive as I thought. I'm not as like, whoa.
Wow, interesting.
Yeah. So I don't know if you've ever tried that experiment.
No.
I tried it. It's like, I was a little disappointed. It's like shit. I'm not as, I don't know if I can say shit, but I already did. But I wasn't as
positive
as yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. I was like, whoa.
Well, we've all got one of those. Well, there's your phone.
Yeah.
On your phone.
Yep.
So.
That's exactly what I did. I just pushed it on the phone and I was having a conversation and I was, So it was interesting. And I did it I got asked how my day was. I said, hold on. Push the button. And I pushed the button and I played it back. And I waited about an hour and a half after to listen to it. And I was like, whoa. I dumped on them. So anyway.
I'm going to try that.
Yeah. Give it a shot, everybody. Be interested to hear what you hear.
All right.
I think that's it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Get to work, folks.
Yeah.